922, I believe so, 922 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And it's been a pretty eventful couple days working behind the scenes and also um, answering with a complaint to KTEP and El Paso Matters, who have continued to, I feel, um, involve themselves and interfere in Richard's case. So, so we lodged a complaint. Rob and I did. I sent it off about this really very badly researched article about Judge Roger Rodriguez. And if you don't know this, this is probably the first time I'm saying it on a live stream, but Judge Roger Rodriguez is the judge, the officer of the court, that reported to the authorities that there was a leak in the U.S. Army CID, Criminal Investigative Division, there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, by a special agent named Tavita Nusa to Leilani Hart, the mother of First Lieutenant Dallas Hart, who's no longer in the military. None of them are any longer in the military, but something, you know, and I'll talk about that too. But Judge Roger Rodriguez deserves accolades for that courage, because we have 44 four-star generals that are serving foreign and domestic enemies instead of defending the Constitution. Judge Roger Rodriguez would not get the defense from our military like he deserved under the Constitution. And so it took a lot of courage for him in these times. I think it's been going on longer than what we think, to make these complaints, to do what is right, because we knew, you have to understand, Team Find Richard Halliday, we absolutely knew that there was a leak. And we knew that, and even confronted the 15 plus agencies with the military in civilian clothing, with a lieutenant general in civilian clothing, with a lieutenant general in civilian clothing, Lieutenant General Donna Martin and Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, both out of uniform at this very, very important meeting that was then made unofficial, and they meant it to be that way because there was no op-ord, so there was no thought to go into this meeting, to hold a meeting. It was like a picnic, okay? That's how they treated it, like a barbecue picnic get together. And during that, with 15 plus agencies, we're talking about the FBI, we're talking about the Customs and Border Protectors, the U.S. Marshals, the El Paso Police Department, the military authorities, and Bureau DEA, and the Bureau of, the Department of State was there, the Bureau of Alcohol, Firearms, and Tobacco, and on and on and on and on. I've had to learn all this stuff. And I was the one, because I was the one dealing with the social media aspect of this case, to say to this group of people, these authorities, these that should be leaders, but they're not, okay? They're not, in my definition of leader, okay? And I didn't know that at this time. The CID was there. the bell needs to toll on that one too, because they are not leaders. They have hijacked our uniforms with the ranks on there that designates them as a leader. But what's filling the uniforms is not leadership. Okay, they are afraid of retaliation. These are fearful creatures, afraid of retaliation. And at that meeting, I asked, who is Hemisocho? I was not told who she is, but I said, she's getting leaks. Is she a girlfriend of someone in the CID or a wife in the CID? She was getting leaks, so we knew, and that is amazing that happened, because that proves that before Judge Rodriguez ever stepped into those offices to make complaints to the authorities about what he had uncovered about the leaks from the CID to Vita Nusa, Special Agent to Vita Nusa, to Leilani Hart, we already had known that there were leaks. So now we knew the name. We know he lost his badge. Absolutely 100% he lost his badge. We know Leilani Hart's name. We know that the leaks were more than just Richard's file, okay? Because she was up to no good. She's up to no good. And she plays a very, very important role in this case. It's very important. And it's not good. It's not in a good way. So when this came out, this article came out, Rob and I decided to dissect the article. Let's understand it. Let's put it in perspective, because you can read through it and all you see is an accusation of attempted murder of Leilani Hart. That's all you see, at least for me. And Judge Rodriguez is just, quote, just a traffic judge. And then when you dissect it and you start looking things up, there is no such thing as a traffic judge in Texas. There is a municipal judge. There is municipal judges act as a magistrate. And so that is the role of Judge Roger Rodriguez. Anyway, so that, to me, that was a little demeaning. They should have put his correct title in there. There were many other parts that were like, so you're giving a lot of weight to things that need the whole story, right? Like, do you know? Anyway, I know a lot about this story, and by dissecting it, and there needs to be a lot more questions answered before such a story is printed to groundlessly smear a sitting judge. I think it's appalling what they have done at KTEP. Because, I have talked to James Hart. Leilani Hart is in a very long, very difficult divorce. And and I asked today, okay, so I put in a complaint, and Angela Kocherga, I hope I'm saying her name right, and I apologize if I'm not, did respond to me through an email last night, but I didn't see it. I get so much information that comes in that it takes me a little bit to go through everything. Um, Especially because I'm a Gigi. And this morning, I want to spend time with my grandbabies. Um, anyway, things are important that other people think are little, but it took a little bit to get back to see it. And she had already called me this morning, and so she called me this morning. Angela did. She is, matter of fact, I'm going to look it up because I want to get it right. I want to get it all right. And you can challenge me, correct me. She is KTEP News Director. She also edited the story. Okay, so this is partly her story too, because she was the editor. And she contacted, and I was very grateful. She said that she even had met me before when we were in El Paso, when we had moved to El Paso for a few months to search for Richard and what happened to Richard. And so she reports on the border quite a bit. We were going back and forth over the border. I don't know, maybe 36 times we were there. I have it all on my Google Maps. They mapped every time I went over the border, and all through El Paso. It's very interesting. So why can't they do that to Richard, right? Because you don't need my phone to go to my Google Maps history. And Richard used Google Maps. So, I wonder if, I'm sure that one of those subpoenas was for Richard's Google Maps, and especially the history, because then they know exactly his whereabouts. Of course, the CID has lied to us and withheld information from us. Lie is a tricky word. They have withheld information and were false witnesses. False witness is the right word many times. And it was very frustrating because obviously it became so obvious. And I didn't want it to be obvious. I fought it for a long time. But anyway, so getting back to Angela Kocherga, I know I'm butchering her name. Kocherga? I hope so. I'm so sorry. I don't really know her. She said she met me, and I don't remember. And I think I would remember her because she's a very important journalist there. She's award-winning. I looked her up. So she has some ground. She has a lot of experience. Her family history, everything is very impressive. And so, there's always things in there. But, anyway, so I was very happy that she called. Very happy. And I told her that with my grandchildren being over, I would get back to her this evening, and we could discuss the complaints that we had, but really mostly the article and the case of my son. That's what I wanted to discuss. So I did call her, and she did take a lot of time to speak with me. And so I'm very appreciative of that. But she definitely was very adamant about defending this article against Judge Roger Rodriguez. And, I was a little taken aback by that, because there was, this article is unsubstantiated. Okay. She says she has like 7 people that say, oh, we didn't get the jobs we promised or something. I don't know. There's plenty of jobs out there. Come on. Um, and I understand. But there are questions that why wasn't there a forensics? Why wasn't the police called? Why wasn't there a report made? And how can you accuse someone of attempted murder, especially a judge, and have nothing, no police report, no police called, no eyewitnesses, no forensics done? Even the Aaron Montes, the writer of this article, isn't he trained to ask those kinds of questions? They made it very dramatic. It sounded like a hit piece. Maybe, I don't know why. I don't think it has anything to do with the Walmart case, because I've looked into that too. And yeah, they're going to put it off for another 2 years. So, I think it's more to do with smearing Judge Roger Rodriguez. So it's interesting. I wonder if there's political rumors going around or whatever, and this is a political hit job. I don't know. And the only reason why I am thinking that way and asking those questions is because we dissected that story, and it is so weak. It is so weak, and it's such a little story. And the biggest part of that story, where is the proof that Judge Rodriguez was the lawyer for Leilani Hart in her divorce case? I'd like to see that. I asked that question. I asked if they had talked to James Hart, because James Hart could tell you that, because he told me, you see. So when I learned about this leak, I started calling people and checking people, checking their character, their credibility. And so we found out, indeed, Tavita Nusa did lose his badge. We also found out that Leilani Hart is in this divorce. It's a very messy divorce. I called James Hart. He confirmed that Leilani Hart and Nusa have a very, very close relationship, and things are really messy. That she accused him of, I don't even want to say it because he's been cleared of it, but it is a very, very wicked crime. Okay? And he told me that the CID had cleared him of that accusation. And so her credibility just evaporated over, because I even have called out for her to give me a call, 941-677-0060, to tell her side of the story. I also was in email communication with Dallas Hart. So I've done my homework, because the CID told us if we wanted to find Richard, we would have to find the leads. We would have to bring them the leads. We were told that, and do you have leads? Tell us the leads. We've been still told that about Richard in Quantico now. His cases in Quantico bring leads. So we have so many leads. We're on there every day, going to multiple platforms, including TikTok. And I even said that I made a TikTok about Leilani Hart, as a hula dancer, about the leak. And so I've been talking about Leilani Hart and her lack of character, well, I should say credibility, for a year now, just about a year, a short of a year, because we found out about the leak, not about the leak, but about Tavita Nusa being the leaker to Leilani Hart in February of 2022. So for just about a year now, we have been doing our due diligence. I'm telling you, I should get a PhD in investigation with my husband for all of what we've been doing. But and I think it's a disgrace because our payers are our money is for what? For what? You know, um, I don't understand. I really don't. But anyway, my son is missing, so I do what I have to do. And I told Angela that, I've even made this TikTok, and she said, uh, you know, I don't go on TikTok, and I will never go on TikTok. And I'm like, okay. So I wrote her, and I said, I'm glad that you don't have to go on TikTok, that you don't have a missing son. But I have a missing son. So, and, and I understand that she's defending KTEP. That's her job. But this story clearly, obviously, is lacking any kind of strength. It is unsubstantiated. It is irresponsible. It is not researched. All they had to do, they told me they did not call James Hart. I failed to mention to her that I have other people that I've talked to that have absolutely backed up the fact that Leilani Hart's credibility is in the trash, you just can't trust her and what she's saying. And without a police report, and without forensics being done, and without a witness, how can you accuse a judge of attempted murder? Okay? Especially somebody that had the courage to go into authorities' offices and file a report about a CID agent leaking files out of the Fort Bliss CID office, including Richard's file, which he should get accolades for. That's what I told her. And yeah, I think that this really, really hurts by giving undeserved credibility to Leilani Hart. It really hurts the investigation into our son's case. And so I've asked her through email to get Aaron Montes to take down that, to retract it, to take down that and any story that has to do with that unsubstantiated accusation by Leilani Hart, because it's just really hurting our case. And I did tell her that that weak article, it's very weak, should not have priority over the case of a missing soldier from Fort Bliss, or a missing soldier. And Richard is the very first CONUS DUS 1 missing soldier under the new Vanessa Guillen absent soldier flowchart. So he should absolutely get priority over that irresponsible, unresearched, unsubstantiated, you name it, really weak article. So I hope she takes it down. um, or, you know, uh, retracts it, I think she should write a personal, or I think she should write a public apology to Judge Roger Rodriguez for such slander. Um, because, he is in a very sensitive job right now. We do not respect our leadership at all right now. Well, let's just say there is a corrosion of respect of our leadership right now. And she just aided in that by putting up that article. She aided in the corrosion of our respect for our leadership and our authority. And this is what really hurts our investigation. Instead of going to the real corruption, and I know there's a lot of corruption, okay? That is very clear in Richard's case. And I think American people need to understand this because they have constantly told me, I wish our military would do this and our military would do that. And I said, yeah, exactly. Our military does. But where's our military? We don't have a military. It has been hijacked. Okay. Our military is not defending the Constitution. So how can that happen? How can we be left alone? How can we be left defenseless? How can we be left to suffer through the banking crisis, the inflation crisis, the food crisis, the warmongering crisis, the border crisis, the election crisis, the inner city crime crises, and all of that, where our leadership has been, so powerless to do anything? Because where's the military? You saw Greg Abbott with the major general, the new major general that has taken over the guards there in Texas, the National Guards, I think it is, right? He's supposed to be now for the border, right? I hope he's different. I really hope he's different. But you see that Greg Abbott has no power without the military behind him, be it the National Guard, right? Let me look up that. I want to make sure I get this right, because it's really important for people to understand that, a sitting governor is very important. I think there are like 3 or 4 in the hierarchy of our government. They're very powerful, but they're only powerful because I'm looking for it here. I know I posted it up. It's been a busy day, so I haven't posted as much as I normally do. Yeah, here he is. Oh, yeah. So it says here that Governor Abbott replaces Texas military leader who has overseen heavily criticized border mission. So Major General Thomas Sulzer will take over as the military department's new leader. He replaces Major General Tracy Norris, who was criticized for her handling of Operation Lone Star and Adjutant General of the Texas Military Department. Texas Military Department, after months of criticism that her handling of this highly touted border mission had led to deplorable living conditions for troops. In a news release, Abbott said Norris's term expired in February, and Major General Thomas Sulzer, who formerly oversaw the Texas Air Guard, was the military department's new leader as of Monday. So this is definitely really important for people to understand that governors have a military behind them. Will the generals listen to their governor? This is our chance, because our 44 four-star generals and admirals over our military right now is they're the highest criminals. These are the highest criminals. People don't understand what they have done and what they are doing at this moment. Very high crimes and misdemeanors. Crimes against humanity is just the tip of the iceberg. And so we really need to get this information out, because it's the exposure that will get them to change, and we can change them through the Senate Arms Committee. Sorry about that. And yeah, and this is why people want to know, why are you getting into the politics of it? Because we have everything. We even have names of the suspect. We have everything. And we have no will. There's so much politics involved in this that we can't even get our FOIAs answered for Richard's complaint to the Child Protective Services, or who's in these porn videos. The porn cult is so big, y'all, that it has captured so many that we have become impotent, really, literally. That's like a play on words, but we have become impotent because of retaliation and blackmail. Porn is great for blackmail. Great for blackmail and retaliation. So we have rapists walking around in uniform, continuing to rape. We have drug sales of illegal sales in the marketplace of the barracks and on post going on. We have suicides like crazy going on, especially on our ships. Matter of fact, I'm going to play you right now, and it's very important. A sailor and what he said publicly, and I am just amazed at his courage too, that he said this. I've been talking so much today, my voice is getting a little bit crackled. Let me see if I can find it. But what he's saying, he's talking about the porn. And it's huge. It's really huge. I know exactly where to find it. Here we go. I'm going to turn this all the way up.
Interesting point here. Years back, you could only get as much smut on board that you could store and fit in your sea bag. Then someone realized, like, oh man, I could put this on a DVD and be able to have even more. And then you could fit the whole world of pornography on a terabyte hard drive now. But what's made it even worse is sailors will set up these clandestine Wi-Fi networks, and so now you have what they affectionately call training videos or old tax documents being just blasted around the ship on these Wi-Fi networks, so anyone with a cell phone can get a hold of them. Ships are really dirty places for your soul, and please don't send your children or your loved ones out on them anymore.
That was great timing again. Boy, God is so good. And the bell tolled. So Um, this is what Richard was trying to report. We'd like to know what he was trying to report on who. And we've been told through the leaks that videos were tampered with, videos are missing. There's so many things that are so shocking about this case that I would advise Angela, the director of KTEP, to look into this case, report on this case of a missing soldier. This should have higher priority than a smear job that's unsubstantiated. Unless she has something more, I'm afraid for her legally, because if I was the judge, and it just reminds me of what happened with Richard, because they were smearing Richard, but they would never say Richard is a distinguished honor graduate for his cycle in basic training and advanced individual training at Fort Sill. They never said it. They would never say it. And I thought, wow, something is very wrong here. Because if you were looking for a soldier, you would try to shout out their accolades, their achievements, so that people will be more motivated to look for him and give you answers. But what they did is completely the opposite. They threatened us. Are you ready to hear about your son? And then went and twisted the truth to Stars and Stripes. And it took us months to figure all of that out, y'all. We had to live through that. It's not like we knew that they twisted the truth. We had to figure it all out, that, oh my gosh, they twisted the truth. Which is a false witness. And, you know what God says about a false witness? He's not too happy with that. That's so damaging. So I would recommend that she issue a public apology. I would have Aaron Montes writing tonight a public apology, and to retract that article and post up the apology. And then write an article about Richard Halliday's case and just the lack of Veronica Escobar, going, oh, I care so much about Vanessa Guillen. Oh my gosh, what a wicked, wicked woman. What a wicked woman. She has so much power to help us find Richard Halliday. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. And to work with the military, the CID, that had no intention of finding Vanessa Guillen. And Richard is a first CONUS DES 1 missing soldier under the new Vanessa Guillen absent soldier flowchart. So you would think that she would try to make this a precedent to show the Guillen family and all other military families that she cared. A very wicked woman, in my opinion. Please change your representative there in El Paso to a better character. And there's more stories about the McKilligan Canyon hike, and her office calling us the next day after, and finding out that those callers that gave us the lead were personal trainers for her office, and telling us, oh, we didn't know that Rob would do so well on that hike. I'm like, wow, what did you want? What did you want? Him to get hurt? Him to have a heart attack? Or him to give up? And then you could in the news say, oh, they're not willing to follow a lead to find their son. I mean, I don't know what they wanted. And I think that Angela could talk to us about that one and talk to Veronica Escobar's office about that. We have it. We have it on record, and no one would believe it. That's why we have to keep records for everything. So the other point was that Richard's case should be a priority, and if that false accusation or unsubstantiated, no forensics done. Give me a break. And you're saying he attempted murder? And you're saying right there, that hole, he tried to shoot me. And no police report? And you're giving Leilani Hart credibility, and that's interfering in the missing soldiers case? They don't care, you see. They're all talk. But we'll see. We'll see if they retract that. I think they should, because I think they could get into legal problems that way with that kind of reporting. I'm going to have to contact the FCC and ask them. This is my son's case. And I told her, I said, do you not understand that we have had to fight against an unbelievable force to try to get this far, to find out what happened to our son? 44 four-star generals and admirals that have committed crimes against humanity are total criminals, the highest kind of criminals ever, because they could stop so much pain and suffering and death. It was a DOD funding, DOD upwards that controlled the last couple years, and the disaster, the economic disaster that we're living in right now. This is the consequences for them serving foreign and domestic enemies has won victory for our enemies, because they control our 44 four-star generals and admirals. And that's why a soldier that the FBI was looking for his remains in Mexico. Shh, he's dead, but he's in Mexico. Shh. And then we have another, that's wicked. Isn't that wicked? But they don't want the truth to come out. Because if the truth is that Richard was in uniform, found dead in Mexico, wow, politically, can you imagine the ramifications? So they just rather cover it up. And I don't know if that's true, but I sure believe the father-in-law, and he says so. So I believe there is a huge possibility that the FBI is hiding the remains of our son that they found in Juarez, Mexico. Because we talked to the Department of State, and they absolutely confirmed that the FBI were in Mexico looking for the remains of Richard Halliday. We have that on record. It's I know it takes your breath away, and you just don't know what to say because it makes you cry. There's this grieving for our country. I mean, that's what I have felt. Grieving for my son, grieving for our military, or especially our service members, um, grieving for even Leilani Hart. Because what is she doing? Is she so desperate? Is she so desperate? Who is she covering up for? I hope she's not covering up for her son. Because you see, Leilani Hart was in the military. She went in. I think she was older. And she went into the military. She was serving there at Fort Bliss under Major General Clem Coward, as was her son, First Lieutenant Dallas Hart, who had just got his first lieutenant because he went green to gold. Why did he get out? What was wrong with his career? And so they were both under Major General Clem Coward. Well, guess who else was under Clem Coward? Major General Clem Coward. Richard was. Guess who retaliated against Richard after he whistle blew to over and above and outside the chain of command to the Child Protective Services? And we're told he gave the porn videos that we know that he had in his possession to the Child Protective Services. So what else is being withheld from us? We have leaked files, we have tampered video, we have missing video, we have porn videos turned into Child Protective Services, we have Child Protective Service complaints, and we have a retaliation, severe and continuous retaliation coming from Major General Clem Coward, and I would say Command Sergeant Major Jones, Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz. Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz, with all that going on and even triggering the IG to be all over the barracks because of Halliday. That's what we believe. I mean, we know that the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday. We can't get that for you answered either. Why not? Why not if they did a 15-6 and everything was okay, everything was just peachy? Why can't they tell us why the IG were all over the barracks? Because of Halliday. We know the barracks was flush with weapons. We know it was a marketplace and still is, I'm sure, of illegal drugs. We know that it's broadcasted porn and even a studio to make porn. We know that. We have proof everywhere. So why were the IG all over the barracks because of Halliday? And why are they covering this up? And why did the Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz, when we were there at one of our rallies, say, I didn't even know I had a missing soldier on my rolls? Because Major General Clem Coward was his partner there at Fort Bliss, and who severely and continuously retaliated against Richard to ruin him. And we have 80 subpoenas and warrants, and he's a yellow Interpol. Not one crime found. Not one crime found. Came out with flying colors. How many of us can go through 80 subpoenas and warrants and come out with not one crime found? Very proud of Richard. Because yellow Interpol means missing. Red Interpol means wanted. Very important. So we need to get our military back. We need a good Senate Arms Committee. We really do. We need to get our military back. We need to protect our service members. We need to save our service members. They're being totally abused. Crimes against humanity perpetrated against them. Lied to. Forced to follow unconstitutional orders because of retaliation, severe continuous retaliation that many have been made examples of, including Richard. And so, we need to get answers. And thank you so much. I'm going to answer your questions now. Just give me a minute to get on Facebook here. I don't see me. There I am. Okay, got 8 people watching. But we are, thank you, Donna. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Kat. There I am. Okay, got 8 people watching. Okay, so Fort Bliss just needs to get up and get Richard home to his family. Absolutely. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your love. Thank you. Thank you so much. Donna, thank you for coming on all the time. And this is another thing that I told Angela of KTEP. She asked me, well, how did you find out about this article? How did you find out about it? And I said, because I'm broadcasting every day, 922 days today that Richard is missing. And I'm broadcasting. I'm trying to go to wherever I can get anyone to listen to this case, right? And people send me tons of stuff. Tonight, before I go to sleep, I'm going to be looking at several of Team Find Richard Halliday's sent messages to me. They send me messages, and I owe it to them to look through it with Rob. We go through it, and of course, this came up because Leilani Hart's name was on it. And I said, everyone that has been listening for the last year knows Leilani Hart's name because I made the TikTok even about Leilani Hart. I've been talking about her continually, that she is not credible, that she has participated in Richard Halliday's case in not a good way at all. There is something fishy going on here. And so she needs to be investigated. And I think she is being investigated. And maybe, I don't know, maybe not, I don't know. Because we don't get any CID reports. I just talked to Julie, the mother of Austin Hawk. She still does not have a CID report of her son's murder. She is leaving tomorrow on the airplane to go to the hearing, the sentencing of the murder of her son, the murderer of her son. She was given boundaries of how long she could talk, what she could say, who she could look at. She can't look at him. I'm like, you know what, Julie? You are the mother of a viciously murdered soldier at Fort Stewart in his own, a whistleblower at that. And you know what about Austin? Austin has something in common with Richard. They were both distinguished honor graduates for basic training in AIT for their cycles. And he had 39 wounds to his head, knife wounds to his head. He had his throat slit for being a whistleblower. No protection. And the CQ was in on this. This was a premeditated murder. And don't tell me that those that lived in the barracks, those so-called battle buddies, didn't know what was happening. I'm sorry. That's called bad leadership. Because they have to live with that they did not go to his rescue. There was no esprit de corps. There was no Medal of Honor ethos training in there. And he fought for his life. He was screaming out. That's why his throat was slit from the back. I mean, bloody mess. A bloody mess. Where were his battle buddies in that barracks room? Don't tell me nobody heard him. Nobody knew what was going on. And I think that Julie deserves, if she wanted to filibuster for hours, she deserves to do that. If she wants to look at that murderer of her beautiful son in the eyes and tell him what a rotten demon he is, she should be able to do it. I don't think Vanessa Guillen's mother had boundaries put on her. Why should Julie Hawk have boundaries put on her? All they care about is their brand, because they're not getting, because our young sons and daughters are finally figuring it out, that our 44 four-star generals and admirals, those beautiful uniforms with the 4 stars on them. I don't want to demean the uniforms with the 4 stars. They're our uniforms, our 4 stars, our decorations. We've given them that power. We've given them everything, the prayers, the respect, everything. And that has been hijacked. And those beautiful uniforms have been filled with demons, criminals, cowards. And they wear them really good, and they act out really good. They act it out. But you know what? The Bible says, God says to us, you know them by their fruit. You know them by their fruit. And we have 20 years of failed rape program. 20 years of failed, maybe longer, but we know for 20 years the suicide program has been a failed program. Failed campaigns. Totally. We have failed audits. Trillions of dollars missing. Trillions. Not billions. Not millions. Not millions. Not billions. Trillions. And we are complaining about buying eggs for $8 a dozen. Trillions of dollars are missing. We have one failure after the next, and it's not 7 4-star generals, okay, over millions of service members. We have 44 4-star generals right now, and we're just doing whatever it takes, whoever we can get in, because nobody wants to come in. Nobody wants to stay. The retention is super low. They're even messing with people and their retirement packets. So their recruiting numbers are abysmal, and rightfully so. And they're like, well, what can we do? Well, you need to go to the Senate Arms Committee And the Senate Arms Committee needs to replace every one of those 44 four-star generals and put in generals that will defend the Constitution. And I bet when that fruit gets out, the defense of the Constitution, the caliber of recruits and the amount of recruits will go way up, way up. Get the porn cult out of the military. Get the porn studios out of the military. Get the illegal drug sales and marketplace out of the military. Get it out. No doggy rearing puppies stuff. So that's the big story, I think, that should be at KTEP. They're right there at the border. They're vulnerable. They're very vulnerable. So thank you, everyone, for coming on, for supporting us. Angela was very kind to say I could call her anytime, and she does want to do a report about Richard. I've had so many people say that to me, but it's just them trying to be, like, I don't know, political. I don't know. Oh, yeah, we care. We want to do a story on you. Do you know how many interviews I've done that have been dropped into the trash bin? They're afraid to put it up there. They're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of real reporting. They're afraid to, and I even tell them, challenge me. Get someone else on there to tell me that our 44 four-star generals are defending the Constitution. I want to hear it. I want to hear how they are defending the Constitution, because they're not. And there is tons of hard evidence that they are committing high crimes, treason, crimes against humanity, and serving. And this is before an investigation. This is before an audit, that they are serving foreign and domestic enemies. And, tell me that I'm not credible. See, they'll say, oh, well, you're just a mom. You're just a mom. Well, who's Leilani Hart? So, okay, everyone. God bless you. Yeah, it's been that kind of day. A good day. A good day until I dive into this. But I think it did reveal a lot, and I hope that they will retract that article. I really do. Okay, God bless you. Thank you so much. And I will see you tomorrow, God willing.